Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable, where we're about to break down, discuss, unpack, and challenge pretty much anything spiritual. Together, we're going to embark on a journey of unlocking spiritual potential through a ton of things like healing, balance, oneness, devil's advocate, and so much more. We always promise to give you what you need and only sometimes what you want. I'm your host, Erika M, child of balance, and here with me, my co-host, is Miss Erin M, Keys of Wisdom 369. Alright, today we are cooking up a little devil's advocate. When does return to sender just become your karma? We're going to flip it every which way. Let's get right into it. Get into our little devil's advocate debate and some food for thought today. It's extremely important to have this little bit of a disclosure at the beginning. We are doing this for the sole point of looking at things from different perspectives, causing you to think, question, and really just dive deep into your own belief system, what you know to be facts, what you may reject. This is here on purpose to trigger and to instill some sort of thought-provoking moment for everybody listening as to, do you sit on a side? Do you not have a side? Are you fence sitting? What do you believe in? In no way, shape, or form is this necessarily what Me and Keys believes in, or in no way, shape, or form are we convincing you of any one thing. We're going to take it from every different angle that we possibly can. So if you are easily triggered by belief systems that are not your own, this is probably not the podcast for you. I'd probably just skip it right now. If if you're ready to get down into it and to really start to question even some of the mainstream things we're taught and even some cultural things or belief systems you might do, then this is going to be one of many podcasts that you're going to enjoy that we do on here. So just to reiterate, this is not necessarily what Me and Keys believes, and we will be arguing for and against our own belief systems here at some point or another during this whole thing. But if you guys are here for it, then I suggest you buckle up. So I just have a question to kick it off. So, because this is how we always like to start these little devil's advocate back and forth. This a simple question that we blow out of the water every time. So this is going to be based on a little bit of karma and a little bit of reaping what you sow. So my question is, at what point does somebody's karma and how they deal with what they receive, at what point does that turn from doing things like return to sender because somebody sent you bad energy and you keep casting it back and sending it away and aiming it at somebody you believe is sending it to you? At what point is that not actually somebody else sending you bad energy, but you receiving your negative karma? And at what point, the more and more you do these return to sender spells and these more things, if you're reaping your negative karma or your karma in general that you don't like to receive, at what point are you doing it to yourself? At what point, the more you send it away to the sender, and if you're the sender, at what point do you just get to that goal of being like, oh wait, am I doing this to me? Oh wait, am I reaping my own energy that I'm putting out, and it's not fuck shit from other people?
See, like where my brain immediately goes is, at what point are you reading the energy wrong? And at what point do you need to ask yourself, why do you think somebody wants to invest that much energy on you?
Oh my!
I mean, if we're not coming out swinging today, let's just come out swinging, because that's the thing. Our unbalanced egos, right? Because it's everything in balance, right? Everything is energy. So when I say that, like I know that right off the bat, this podcast is going to trigger your cognitive dissonance. That is the entire purpose of this. So when I say that, why is a balanced individual, right? If we're sitting in the space of balance, we don't care what people think about us. Other people's opinions, other people's actions, other people's words are none of our business, right? So,
Yep.
what point do you have to ask yourself? And I want to say, check yourself or you wreck yourself type of shit, right? Like, at what point is it maybe your ego going, well, I am so important to these people? Because I often see this sometimes, and I know you have too. Like, think about when people literally are no longer in the lives of other people, right? Like, you are
Yep.
physically removed. You have moved on with your life. You have this or that, right? Like, and you have nothing to do here. But somebody holds you in this narrative and in this space of you're doing something to them, you're this to them. And like you said, at what point does maybe that person need to go, well, maybe I'm just reaping the way I treat people? Why do you think you're so important that you're renting this much space for free in someone else's head? Again, we can play both all sides, right? I also get it from the standpoint of, when there's people that are actively in your circle or this or that, and you're physically going through some kind of conflict or this or that, and you know people who practice these things, right? Now that's an awareness, right? But at what
Mm-hmm.
point do you actually have an awareness of behavior of other people? And at what point are you projecting, like you said, the reaping of your own energy? You're getting back what you put out, and you're actually failing to take responsibility. So you're blaming someone else and then engaging in a behavior of returning your own energy back to somebody else.
Well, and that's what I like it's just kind of that hairy spot, I think, when we start playing this game of tit for tat, because it's literally just like at what point, like everybody's so quick to look at the reaction of what other people do. But what caused that reaction? What do you think
That
caused somebody to go, I'm gonna stop focusing on myself for a second and I'm gonna throw all this hate to this person. Now, don't get me wrong, there are shitty people in the world, and that's just where they sit and they sit in that
mm-hmm.
density, they sit in that frequency of that eye for an eye, get back at you because I just feel like it because it's Tuesday. That's fine, whatever. You
Just
do
because
you. But
Tuesday.
it's yeah, because some people are just like that and that's their moral code and that's whatever. But it's just one of those things like, at what point do you go, okay, like this just completely switched? Why did they do that? Why do you feel that they shot that at you? Like, what's really speaking there? And it's like, and then when you even go like a level further down into it, you're saying ego. 90% of I feel like people's problems is the fact that they're like, well, this person may be thinking about me, or this person is doing this to me, or they have an opinion of me. And this people, 90% of people who walk around the planet are thinking the same way you do. They're worried about you and how other people view them. Very little people, especially with that type of a concern, are actually viewing people with some sort of malice to where they're on their mind 24/7 and it's just all this hate being sent this way. And then it's like there's 7 billion people on the planet or more. You know what I mean? There's like 7 point whatever. Like, and then you
Yep.
think about how many people are actually in spirituality. Holy crap, that's a whole lot less. And then when you think about the people who are all love and light, let's take that community out because they're not hexing people if you're in that
No,
community.
correct.
Like, and then let's go even smaller and say just the people who practice magic, right? Because I'm gonna take I'm taking the evil eye out of it because like you could sneeze and send someone evil eye. Like that, if you're worried about evil eye, you got a whole nother fucking problem. But like,
Yes.
it's one of those things like let's just take the people who practice physical magic to where you would be even doing spells, right? Where you even be casting curses or doing spells or whatever spell work on people who would be considered like baneful magic. Okay, fine. And then it's like on top of that, the people who are actually practicing magic that would be so hateful and would be so put him in a jar. I'm gonna shake them up with all this stuff in it and put nails in this and send all this hate and I'm going to make a puppet doll and I'm going to, right, to actually cast some stuff. I'm going to call in a deity to help them with like whatever kind of convoluted thing they have going on. That's even smaller. That's like 7 to 10 times magnified out of 7 billion people. And then we take that small select group of people who are actually doing that negative physical type of a life, type of a give back, type of a eye for an eye, type of that fuck you. Um, how many of those people do you actually know? Because chances are, like, chances are you don't know that many people. And if you do, it's because you used to relate to them. You used to be in
Mhm.
that group of people. You used to run in that circle. And then you got to take it one step further. Are people really sending you fuck shit? Are people really, or are you just feeling some sort of way? Are you just feeling guilty? Are you just whatever? And then it's like when you take even just the idea, because I think it depends on how you define karma. If we just go from the universal perspective and a non-cultural one, right? Just the reaping what you sow, that cause and effect,
Yep.
that I put something out and this is what I got back in return. Okay, if you think that you like that someone's going to turn around one day and give you that much shit and send you that much grossness and send you that much density and that much hate your way, you got to ask yourself, what did you do to deserve that? What caused them to all of a sudden flip a switch on you and go 2 to 10 to even be sending that your way? And why is that in your realm of awareness? What are you guilty of? What is sitting in your subconscious that's how hard you are projecting because you're denying your own truth? That maybe you did something wrong. Maybe you this, maybe whatever that caused this rift. That maybe it's not that they're not getting over the rift. Maybe you're not getting over the rift. Maybe you're the one renting space. Like, you know what I mean? Like in your own head with
Mhm.
all these what ifs that has you thinking that every single bad thing that comes your way or you deem to be a lesser thing came from one person. Because I think that there's like a huge difference between doing just like a simple return to sender with no target versus targeting it and being like it's from this bitch or it's from this evil asshole or it's from this, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep, but let's even flip it again. Let's take a whole different perspective. So you're sitting there, unpacking the well, if you're sitting in a space and you're like, well, what did I do to deserve this? Maybe you did nothing to deserve it, right? So now ask yourself this. The entire construct is what? Based in fear. So if you believe, and this is your belief systems, right? So get into your own belief systems here. If you believe that you are a powerful being, right? That you can
Mm-hmm.
alchemize, that you can manifest, that you can do all of these things, you can transmute the energy. Why are you sitting in a construct where you're disempowering yourself? Because that's literally what it is. It's literally sitting there going, I need to be fearful. I need to worry. This person's more powerful than me. They're doing this to me. How literally, that's like, I will keep saying it. Literally, how disempowering is that to yourself? Why do you think so little of yourself that you even need to give this attention? Why are you even entertaining it? If you know, I always say it, I say this, the truth defends itself. So if we're in a perspective right now where like you're like, I am literally feeling like I am a target of something and I literally cannot figure out what I did to this person, right? You've discerned it,
Right.
you whatever. Why are you giving it any more attention? If you literally know you didn't do shit to somebody, you've always come correct, you've led with a pure heart, pure intention, pure this. Why are you feeding a construct? Because it's a construct, it's a belief system. As much as people don't want to necessarily unpack that, it is in fact
Yep.
a belief system or a construct. So people are either more powerful than you or you are a powerful being. Which is it?
Well, like, and then even on top of that, like, if we just take it one step further and just flip it yet again and just go back to like the root of what that is, like, at what point does that give? Because if I'm saying that somebody is so knowledgeable, so powerful, so whatever, that they're going to send something my way that's supposed to knock me off my square, is ultimately what it is, right? Like someone
Uh-huh.
sent me nasty because they wanted it to interfere with what I was doing or what they, you know what I mean? Like whatever that you had going on. At what point do you do a return to sender, send it back? You think their ass isn't going to do it again? You think it's not like we're just volleying back and forth,
Correct.
return to sender spells, return to this spells, return like so now we're just throwing the same energy back and forth and we're using our energy to reflect it back, thus keeping the volley going. And then it's like at what point like you got to ask yourself, is that it when you do return to senders, and this is where we get into the, the mind games. When you do return to senders, are you putting that energy out?
Okay.
Like, is that the energy you're sending?
I would
And then
like
it's
to
like,
say
is
yes.
that considered karma because we're now revolleying shitty energy back at somebody? I'm not saying you have to be the bigger person. That's not what I'm
No.
saying. But what are you defining the energy you put out as? The energy you use, the energy you send away from you, the energy you may target at somebody else, the energy you may return to, like, you know what I mean? And some people consider return to sender defense. Well, that's part of my defense. Okay, but let's break that down. Are you doing a return to sender spell where you just leave it up to the universe to send it back where it belongs, right? Like, oh, or are you just banishing it? Are you just saying it can go anywhere but my space? I don't care, banishing it, send it wherever. Or are you going, it hit me, I know where it's coming from, F her, F him, F, that lady, and I'm going to send it back. And you're sending it almost as like retaliation targeted at one person. And that takes me back to you, Keys. Like, our intuition is only as good as we are. Our intuition is only as neutral as we are. Our intuition is only, you know what I mean, as developed as we are. So if we are sitting in that type of an energy, how on point is it? And at what point is that clouded by ego? At what point is that clouded by our own humanness, maybe our own human hate, our own irritation, our own frustration, our own lack, our own, like you said, fear construct that I need to do something with this or else XYZ will happen. So it's like at what point here are we kind of getting off of, you know what I mean, kind of getting away from empowering ourselves and being that type of an energy and doing all these things to how are you defining return to sender? Because some people, may just do a simple like send it where it came from, you know what I mean? Like, and other people will take it a step further and go, bitch, you sent this my way. Oh, that's it. And they get like their whole apothecary out to send you something equally as nasty. And like, you know what I mean? And what if you're wrong? Like, what if
What
you're
if you're wrong?
wrong? And that person had nothing, and if you were in there, because half of the time it's not people you bump into every day. You know what I mean? It's that person you're on the outs with, or in your mind, your perspective, for whatever reason, based on past events, not the present, based on past events, you're on the outs with. That takes me right back to that. Why the hell do you think that you're on their mind? What makes you so
Exactly.
special that you're encompassing their whole entire nest, their whole brain, that they're like, I need to go do something about this.
Okay,
Like,
but you said something that like now I want to flip it again because in our feeling fear podcast, we literally talked about how your fear can cloud your intuition, right?
mm-hmm,
But when you just made that comment about, there's some people who will just, banish something or this or that. And then you got the people that's like, oh, let me get all the things out. Let me go to my apothecary. Let me go get this, right?
yep,
Your energy when you are doing things like that, and this is, I'm gonna be careful how I say this, but I mean what I'm about to say wholeheartedly. When you make something, create something, that is your creative life force energy.
yep,
I don't care what your intention is. I'm not here to unpack that and I'm not here to judge that. But what I'm telling you is when you get to doing physical, energetic, practical, whatever kind of magic practices, tangible things, you are now investing your energy and your creation to do, make, and utilize something. So if you create your own reality and you create things into your life and you bring things into fruition, are you creating these kind of frequencies, narratives, and things manifesting in your life? It goes back to, again, why do you think people are more powerful than you? Why do you think someone cares that much about you? Why? And I'm not saying they don't care that much about you. There may be people who are so invested in you and you're just over there minding your own damn business. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm saying when you start using your creative life force energy to do things, you are in maybe unintentionally, sometimes intentionally, you are countering the universe. You are countering the universe with your energy and your creation.
Now, a word from our sponsors. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things spiritual, check out the website, www.childofbalance.com. Right now, we are running a thank you special for the entire month of June with the coupon code THANKYOU20. You can get 20% off any private, full, dual space, intuitive tarot/oracle reading. You're going to sit down an hour with me, Child of Balance, and Miss Keys of Wisdom 369. And we're going to let it all rip. We're going to tell you exactly what you need to know. And it's 20% off. So using the code THANKYOU20, you can access that. But we didn't just stop there. We couldn't stop there. We want to say thank you for all that you have done. And we are also doing a raffle. Anybody for the entire month of June who either purchases a live reading on Instagram or TikTok, whether that be dual or solo reads from myself, Child of Balance, or Miss Keys to Wisdom's 369, and anybody who purchases a private read on the website will be entered into a drawing. And at the end of the month, we'll mix all the names up and we'll pull one out, and you will win a free 30-minute reading with myself and Miss Keys of Wisdom in private, where you're going to get us all to yourself for 30 minutes. We're just trying to say thank you to everyone who has supported us this far and for every customer we've ever had. The only thing that you are required to have in order to be a part of the drawing is you must be a member of the website. And it's just so we can figure out how to contact you and let you know you won. So if you want a one-stop shop for private spaces, spiritual guidance and assistance, mediumship, mentorship, private readings, shadow work, assistance, it's all there. If you are looking for a free tree of knowledge where you can learn esoteric wisdoms, breath work, you can learn about yourself, cultures, spiritual hygiene, spiritual practices, spiritual traditions, and you can just learn about almost anything under the sun spiritual for 100% free, check out the website. And you should become a member. If you're not already a member, www.childofbalance.com. It's 100% free. It'll never cost you money. We would never charge you money. The website is about assistance and community. Take advantage of it, fam. It's a great place to go to unlock your spiritual potential. www.childofbalance.com.
Well, and it's so funny. I'm so glad that you brought up the whole you create your own reality, because we're going to take it one step further. And I'm sorry if this whole thing just taking a left turn. This is the nature of devil's advocate. But if you have that belief that you create your own reality and it's based on your constructs and your belief system, what if you believe you're not doing wrong? What if you necessarily don't believe that what you're doing is wrong? or that, you have no guilt over it, or you hold no space that you shouldn't be doing it, that this isn't all falling into divine order of things, right? Or the people who even go so far as to say, well, this deity told me I could do it, or my team backed me 100%, and this was led by my guides, right? If that's your belief system, even when negative shit comes your way, are you even going to see it as the reaping of your karma? Are you even going to see it as karma at all? Or are you always going to see it as outside fuck shit? Outside shit that's sent your way to knock you off. And then the idea is, if you never see it as karma because that's not within your belief system, and you don't see it as this is what I'm reaping, that's when that loop starts, right? Like in my mind, I'm like that's when that loop starts, because then you're like, well, I need to do more stuff because people are attacking me, because this is happening, because I'm such the spiritual warrior that everything is against me, that I'm this chosen person. Or maybe it's just that, like, I'm maintaining my peace. Like, let's even take it one step further. Maybe this is you in your mind maintaining your peace. Where's the line there? If you create your reality, and in your reality, you're not doing wrong, you're not doing harm, are you ever going to reap karma? And when that karma, if it does come, is it ever going to hold that label for you? Is it ever going to change your practices? Or are you always going to see it as somebody else out for you?
Well, it's again, flipping it again. There are people out there who believe that they take this energy and they're doing something with it. That's, like you just said, that's their belief system. They actually look at certain things like this in certain practices where they are taking, and I'm just going to give it a label for the sake of debating here, but like chaos energy or whatever label you want to give it, right? And they're taking it and they're transmuting it in a physical way. They don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. And again, we're not judging anybody for anything. Again, just prefacing, I'm going to continue to preface that throughout this. It's just a perspective to take. So if you get in a pissing match with somebody, right, who literally sees no wrong in what they're doing because that is their construct, you're not going to change their construct. But now you're sitting here in a space of the energy in which you sit, because that is all you are responsible for, is where you sit and what your intention is. And you're like, well, I need to get back at this person for what they're doing to me. And this person over here does not think they're doing anything wrong, because this is a practice that they have developed to transmute, to alchemize, whatever words you want to use, right? But that's their belief system. So, like you just said, are they ever really reaping what they sow? Because they think in their construct that they're doing something in a way that is positive or helpful. It's all back in that eye of the beholder.
Well, and that's what like gets me, because when you even go back to like the original thing that opened up this whole conversation, in the fact that, what if an average person who holds the belief that in their physical practice of returning to sender, or even targeted practice of retaliation, let's even go that far, right? That there's no wrong there. Well, what if they just had something happen that was, a return of energy, whether you want to call it karma or whatever, right? They just had a blip in the road, something happened and it caused a ripple, right? You know what I mean? They just had a negative return of energy. If they then go back and do that return to sender spell, and they do it as a return to sender spell, do they send it back to themselves? Like, do they send it back again? Like, I know that sounds funny, but if it's your energy and you shot it at somebody, you shot it at the universe, and the universe was like, and your cause and effect, here's your energy back at you in a different situation, different place, different time, same frequency. Have fun with it. Right. And then the
Mm-hmm.
person's like, oh, ew, return to sender because people are after me, or return to sender because this is what I believe, this can't be mine. Even if it's just a denial, this can't be mine, send it back, right? At what point does it go away and come back?
But
Because
like,
if
but
it
we talk
originated
about,
with you,
we talk about that though, that the universe gives you what you are, not what you want. I can't say that enough. People can say, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And then when the universe is actually reciprocating the energy in which you sit, because so often, like people, they don't, we talk about words being important, words being spells, this, that, and whatever. So if you sit in a space of gossipy energy, if you sit in a space where you belittle people, or you think you're better than, those are all unbalanced ego spaces. So when the universe counters you and says, okay, it's time for return of energy, right, and you're literally just being given exactly what you are, where's the line? Because it's like you said before, what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong?
well, and that's the thing. And it's like, and especially if we're doing a targeted practice,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like, what if? And then if you are so unconfident, because we're going to take this one step, if you're so
Mm-hmm.
unconfident in what you are doing that you're asking the question, what if, don't do it. Like, that's a
Correct.
personal belief. Like, don't do it, because if you're having that seed of doubt in whatever you're doing, your manifestation, your spell work, whatever oomph you just put in that is toast, because that's all kind of confusion, fucked up energy now. And then now you're sending not only whatever you concocted together on top of your confusion that maybe this is right, maybe this is wrong. Is that emission of maybe? Is that guilt? Is that emission of maybe? Is that something else? Like, you know what I mean? That could be, because some people will even go as far as to say that, like, that's really what karma is, right? Like, if you
Mm-hmm.
do something that you know isn't right, but you do it anyway,
Yep.
because you deem it to not be right, it finds you again. I have had people describe to me that's their definition of what they're going off, that is karma, right? That cause and effect. When I do something wrong, well, who decides what's right or wrong?
Correct.
Because that's like, that's the idea, is like, if we hold our own individual right and wrong scales, well, then I could see how that could fall into the, like, creator of your own universe. The outside is a reflection of your inside, your beliefs, your constructs, your whatever, because that's the lens you view the world through. But let's just take it one step further. Let's say that there is a universal right and wrong, like that is
Mm-hmm.
outside of our understandings, understandings, right? Let's say there actually is a rule to things, and it says X, Y, Z, and this is the consequences. Are you liable for those consequences even if you're unaware of them? Like, do you, like, if you have no knowledge of them, do they still apply to you? And if they did, would you see them as the rules are for what they are, or would you see them through your own tainted lens of whatever your belief system is? And it doesn't matter what belief system it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just
Yeah.
like this ring around the rosy kind of a feeling that's like, well, where does it end? If we are doing something, and like, we're doing all the what ifs, but like, if you receive karma, I'm gonna make it concrete. If you receive karma and you do a send back, it's your karma, it's your energy. You do a
Mm-hmm.
return to sender, you're the sender of it. The universe
Yeah.
sent it back as karma. So at what point are you just fucking your own shit up and making your own life worse because you're sending everything back amplified to yourself a million times? At what point is the lesson in that moment to be like, a little bit maybe more energetic discernment and honesty and responsibility? Because that's like what karma is when you take it from just that cause and effect. It's like the universal responsibility on the shit you do. We talk about it right now negatively, but there's also a positive side to that. You know what I mean? There's
Mm-hmm.
also that positive flip flop of being like, but if I put out good shit, I get good shit. We're not even going to go into law of multiplication because that would be like, but like, it's one of those things. Like, at what point does that change? Like, at what point does that take that turning point of being like, and then once you're in that loop, because what if you fit, like you said before, what if you sit in that fear construct where I'm being attacked all the time, and this is happening to me, not for me? and I need to be the ultimate warrior, and I need to come out with my guns blazing, my sword on fire, swinging it above my head, telling everybody this is me, fuck it, like, and come out with all this type of oomph to where you're almost becoming your own freaking martyr. You're almost becoming your own, like, you know what I mean? You're almost becoming your own, like, own unique energy of just raw. Who breaks that cycle for you? And
But
how long are you in that cycle of running off of a fear construct of that somebody can do this to me and I'm less powerful than this person and they're more powerful than me because it affects me in the way that it does. And then you're really just doing it to you, sending your own shitty shit to yourself in this construct that we just talked about, not all return to sender, just this construct. Like, at what point does that cycle break? Is it when you break? Is it when somebody else, like a outside person goes, this doesn't make any sense? Like, at what point does that loop break? Is it when you go full blown psychosis? Because at that point, I would like to say you'd be driving yourself mad, and you would have to feel like at some point the universe is against you, because it would just be continuous shit show after shit show after shit show. If you're doing return to sender spells and you're the sender, like, right, like at some point, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying anything against return to sender spells. I'm just saying in this construct of you're reaping your karma for something and you think it's something else because let's just pretend and say you're wrong. At what point, Keys? Like, you know what I mean? At what
Mhm.
point do you either drive yourself Looney Tunes,
Correct.
or does somebody step in and go, have you ever considered that maybe you're wrong?
Exactly. But that's why I said there's just so many. I mean, I can take this and mind fuck it 22 ways if you want to. But I mean, seriously. It all goes back to like belief systems, though, right? Because I
Mhm.
can look at something and go, okay, I personally believe that there. You know what I mean? I always tell people there's no right or wrong in life, right? There's only experience. So based on the energy in which you sit, you're going to continue to experience things, right? Maybe the
Mhm.
assignment is your self worth. Maybe the assignment is look at how powerful you are. Look at how you're giving your power away to people. At what point do you become the, I mean, when I say this, like, it's going to sound weird, but at what point are you the magic in people's return to senders because you're just amplifying the shit and doing it all to yourself?
Well, but that's the same thing. Like, the people who are sending stuff, they clearly know how to do return to sender spells. And like I said, I'm not talking about your evil eye, or
No.
I'm talking about the people who are actually putting physical stuff together to send it someone's way, right? Like, you know, whatever. But it's like they obviously, if they have the ability to send you something that you believe is so monumental that it disrupts your whatever you have going on at the moment in some sort of way, I'm gonna tell you that person also knows how to do a return to sender. So it's like, at what point are we gonna take a different route so we're just not tapping the volleyball to each other?
Now,
We're
like
not
I said,
tapping the fire volleyball over the net and hoping we don't get burnt. Like,
but since the entire premise of this conversation, now I'm not talking about other spell work, I'm not talking about anything else, only this. You are only afraid of a return to sender if you did something wrong, unpopular freaking opinion.
but that's that guilt for me. That's the
Exactly.
guilt. That's
But
that
that's what I'm saying.
subconscious undertone.
In the essence, and
You're
that's what
waiting, yeah, you're waiting for that shoe to drop because in the
you
subconscious,
know
something's.
you did something foul. Somewhere, sometime, you know you did something foul. I will debate that all day long because that's the thing. In this construct that we're debating, you are only worried about a return to sender if you did something foul. Why else would you seriously think about it? I'm going to be the devil's advocate hardcore. If you know that you didn't do anything to anybody and you have been a good friend and a good this and you have a good heart, then you're just getting your good energy back, right? Right? Because
Mm-hmm.
karma is neither good or bad. That is a construct. It is simply the return of your energy. So if you know in your heart, I guess again, we can go to belief system again. If you believe that you have moved in a way that is caring and compassionate and kind and graceful and not filled with judgment or hate or anger or bitterness or jealousy, right? Somebody does a return to sender to you, what are you concerned about? Again, it's that like the truth defends itself type of thing. You are only afraid of that kind of a construct if you know that you do fuck shit to people.
Or I'll take it a step further. Or that the person that is in question, maybe is the way that I want to say it. Whoever you think you may be, like if I'm staying on your line here, whoever you think you may be waiting on receiving something from in form of a return to sender or form of retaliation, it's either because, like you just said, your point, or it's because they delulu, and it's because they're
Yep.
crazy, and it's because they have an inaccurate picture of themselves and an inauthentic maybe version of the way the world works, or morals that don't align to yours, that you know that they're a shady person, or maybe you know that they think they, God's gift to the planet or something like that, and they about to go off unhinged because that fits their unhinged pattern, and you're
Correct.
aware of that. But then you got to ask yourself, at what point are you really owning the energy of some delulu person over here who doesn't know themselves well enough that they can't see that they're their own problem, is somehow more powerful than you in your balanced energy recognizing your worth? Because
Yep.
that's a statement to make about your own energy. That's something to
Exactly.
really need to sit with. Like, you're telling me that, the psycho inmate on, Orange is the New Black all of a sudden now has more power because she can put some herbs together in a jar, and then you do just living your life. And it's just, there's just this connotation. I know you already said this and we said it a couple times already, but like, we give our power away. And in the moment that anybody goes, this is more powerful than me, we give it away. And that's
Yes.
usually how we lose our power, is when we decide that something is stronger, better, affects us in the level that it does. Because let's be honest, how many people, and I would love to know the answer to this, like how many people go about their daily life and actually run into people's spell work without the forecasted premonition-y knowledge, without looking for it, and go,
Correct.
oh my God. And when it hits them, goes, oh, this person, or oh, this was sent to me. This didn't just happen. This wasn't just a thing, that lesson I needed to learn. This was purposeful and this was negative. And how many times without that thought of waiting for the shoe to drop because you know something's coming, does that actually hit you and you go, oh, I know this was sent to me? Like, I would love the answer because I'm actually genuinely curious, because as
Mhm.
sensitive as we are, like, keys, I know you and me, we get warned about stuff all the time. But when you don't focus on it
Yep.
and you don't feed it energy and you don't do all these things, it can't survive in your presence. It can't survive in your reality. It can't survive in your energetic field unless you feed it. So it's like, at what point are we making these little things that these people are doing, or this person is doing, or these spell works from random practitioners all over the planet? Like, at what point are we giving them permission by admitting their strength?
Exactly. But that's why I said it's like, are you divinely protected or are you not? I, you know what I'm saying? Because I look at it
I
like
do.
this. You just hit the nail on the head. We get shit all the time in our space, right? And what is
Hmm.
one of my favorite things to say? Because you know this about me and anybody who's, seen us on live. So many things I'm like, it's not our business and we don't need to know. They gave us what we needed. It will play the fuck out. Like, we don't need to know. We have an awareness. Keep going. Because speaking from other space, you know what I mean? Like other times in life, when we may be in a more unhealed state or a more, lower vibrational emotion, energy, whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you want to label it. You tend to lend or give your energy to, like you said, playing out what ifs. Well, I wonder why they're giving me this message. They're just bringing something into your awareness. If you believe you're protected and you believe in your guides and you believe in God, source, creator, universe, whatever your higher power understanding is, continue to move the way you're moving because you know within you, right? Because like your truth is within you. Are you following your moral compass? And I'm not here to dissect people's moral compasses to get to today either. Are you following your moral compass? Are you moving in alignment to what feels right to you? If that is what you're doing, then stay your path. Stay your path. If you start to lend your energy into the I need to know, I need this, is that your ego talking? Because your curiosity is going to eventually get the best of you. And then you got to check yourself or you wreck yourself again and figure out, are you replaying old scenarios? Are you allowing somebody to rent space for free in your head? Where's your responsibility in all of it? Because you can't be this and this. You can't be this weak, helpless person that people are coming for and you feel fearful for it. Now, I want to preface that in feeling fearful where you have to take some action, you know what I'm saying, against it. Mm-hmm. Or you're either divinely protected, you're like, yep, I got an awareness because you know what I mean? Like whether you're like, God's got me, or you're like, Spirit's got my back, or freaking Jesus take the wheel, or like whatever you want to say,
Jesus
right?
Take the wheel.
But the whole point is like you believe in something that is bigger than you, that is protecting you, that is guiding you. So you can continue to move in an unbothered, unfazed as fuck way because we're not even going to entertain that. You know your worth. You know you're this. You know where you're at. Why are you defending it to something that doesn't need your attention?
Now, a word from our sponsors. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all things spiritual, check out the website, www.childofbalance.com. For those of you who truly appreciate handmade products, we have a handmade shop. Everything is made to order, blessed, saged, and sent out as quick as possible. We have anything from handmade sounds for meditation to chakra chain macrames to tree of life macrames with inlaid crystals to herbal blends like bath teas and dump and go specials to road opener mixes to kits and oils and so much more. For those of you who enjoy taking spiritual classes and courses but maybe can't fit it into your busy schedule, we have self-study courses and everything can be found in the handmade shop. The website is about assistance and community. Take advantage of it, fam. It's a great place to go to unlock your spiritual potential. www.childofbalance.com.
Well, but that's the thing, and like it just goes back to where do you sit and what do you believe? Does karma exist? Is there such a thing as a divine order to things where there would be balance and justice? So that way, and if there is, who decides that? Is it
But
one person? Is it a group of
that's
people?
just it.
Does it only apply to this planet? Does it only apply to humans? Does it apply to everybody? And then it's like on top of it, for my love and light community, like does fuck shit even exist? Does does negativity even exist? Is there such thing as low vibrational entities, low vibrational things, or no? Is everything all rosy and we just got it twisted? And then it's like even if you take that like one step further, like If the world is only a reflection, right, of our inside world, is every struggle that we face, is it just supposed to be leading us back into the inside? So every negative thing you find is a breadcrumb back into self. Is it when we eradicate those things, or mend those things, or heal those things, or understand, or come to terms with, adopt, whatever you want to call it, reintegrate, bridge, like, bridge the gap, whatever label you want to stick out, whatever word, whenever we quote unquote fix those things, is that when our reality fixes? And
Was it
is
ever
that why they
broken to
say we
begin with?
view it through the lens? But is that why they say we view it through our own lens? Because it's my lens. Could we look at the same situation, the same exact energy, the same exact whatever, and can my lens be one perspective and be like, oh, well, that's because you're viewing this because this is your generational trauma, and this happened to you, and this happened to your mother, and this happened to your grandmother, and you're viewing the same thing as Tanya sent that. Like, Tanya sent that to you because she's jealous of you, and you're gonna need to handle that. And then somebody else might view it completely different and be like, "What situation? I didn't think that was bad." Like, at what point is it so individualistic that it's like, does it matter? Does any of it matter? Like, and it's like one of those questions, like, or is that the human game we play, that tit for tat, where it's
Correct.
like everything. I need to chase everything. I need to hunt everything. I need to defend myself from everything. I
The
need to have
animalistic
all
brain.
this. At what point is that spirit? Is that, or is that just a part of the journey and not the whole journey? Is it a spiritual trap? Do we get stuck there? Do we get stuck taking things for what we see right in front of us and not always the higher perspective? Is there a higher perspective? There's a
Mhm.
large part of something really simple like this devil's advocate that we just kind of like went back and forth and just kept flipping it and different what ifs. And then, well, what if you think about it this way? What if you think about But if you take everything like that and determine what you want and what fits with you and what resonates and what jives and what makes sense to all your other beliefs, that's where you start running in your authenticity, and that's where you start setting things apart. So it's like you got to ask yourself, is what you're doing authentic to you, or are you just doing it because it's what you've been taught? Are you thinking freely, or are you not? Are you questioning the constructs, even spiritual ones? Are you questioning the constructs
Absolutely.
that you're adopting? Because you didn't just, like, 90% of the people are like, oh, I just broke out of the public system, or I just broke out of the matrix with the world, or okay, that's great. But did you just swap one matrix for another because you're still not free thinking?
Exactly.
Because you're still not free feeling? Because you're still not resonating? Because you're still not diving into yourself? Because you're still not running it past your bullshit detector with your feelers, learning your truth, seeing what jives for you? And can you do that without judging others? Is there a space for you to be like, I don't have to believe in it, but I don't care if you believe in it? Like, or are you
Mhm.
intolerant to that? Because I feel like there's a large part of the population, especially when it comes to the spiritual community as a whole, that they want so desperately to be tolerated. They want so desperately people to have tolerance of them and to be
Yeah.
accepting of them. I'll tell you what, the spiritual community is one of the most judgiest communities, and it just
Yep.
really is.
Yep.
And a lot of people sit and take things personal, and a lot of people get offended easily.
Hmm.
And I'm sure that's in a lot of other places in the world too, but you have to give it to get it. You know what I
Correct.
mean?
Well, it's like you said, when it just comes down to what you believe. Is karma real? Is justice real? If you are the one that thinks that you have to deliver the justice, what gives you that right? Is that your ego talking? Like, you just have to unpack it on so many levels. And when you just said that, people are like, oh, I just broke out of, the religious construct, or the public education construct, or the matrix, right? Well, anybody who,
Hmm.
and I'm, the matrix concept is what? Keeping people in fear and lower level vibrational energy. So if you're breaking out of it and you're trying to walk a spiritual path, a different path, right? How you swapping fear for fear?
Yep.
You're swapping one thing for another. You're just giving it a label that you're okay with. So you got to ask yourself, if you're fighting, if you're fighting everything in the world and you're the mirror, are you just fighting yourself?
Well, that's why everything goes back to your constructs. And I know some people will get upset when they hear that word. Well, I'm not living a construct. I'm not, it's not supposed to be offensive, but your construct's just your belief system. What are your rules, your regulations for how you operate, your morals, what you deem right, wrong? Is there a right, wrong? What's in the gray area? You know what I mean? Like what's acceptable,
Mm-hmm.
what's unacceptable? These are all things that you really should be asking yourself, no matter what level of the journey you're on. And don't
Correct.
don't lose your open-mindedness. Be able to sit down and play back and forth like this and play, play the what ifs a little bit. Now don't get crazy with them, but play the what ifs a little bit. So much so that you can actually form an opinion and then follow it up with research or knowledge or, talk to people who are in those communities who may have lived through it, who may do all these things. Like that's how you get secure in who you are. So when we talk about foundations and being unrockable, that's how you do it. When we talk about stabilizing who you are in yourself and knowing yourself, it's being able to ask these hard questions. It's being able to question everything you know because you either believe what you believe or you don't, and that's why you don't question it. Because if you question too hard, you won't believe in it. And part of spirituality is finding yourself. It's finding what you vibrate with. It's finding what you jive with. And everyone's so ready to find their guides and their home and their this and making them feel like they're not so left out. Well, but this is your way to do that. This is your way to do that. You know what I mean? This is how you're going to bridge those things together. This
Correct.
is
And it's,
how, yeah.
but it's like you said, people are in such a hurry to find themselves. You're not lost. You're literally having to unlearn. And the thing is, the courage to unlearn, the willingness to unlearn. Because when we've been conditioned to believe a certain type of way, that cognitive dissonance starts fighting us when we're trying to be brave and courageous and try and unlearn things, unmask ourselves and find our authenticity under everything we've piled on top of it or buried it with. So it's like in your quest for self and that authenticity, you have to learn everything you're not, and what like you said, what doesn't resonate with you. And so with that being said, everybody wants to shift and expand their consciousness and all these things. It starts with being able to see things from multiple perspectives without attaching emotion to it.
Well, and it's just like it goes back a lot of times. It's like words matter. And I don't mean that from a casting spells over yourself with the words you use. I mean your definitions for words matter. And they do not have to mirror, Webster's dictionary definition. You hear us talk all the time about etymology, and that's a great thing to look into, and it's fun to do it.
Yes.
But how you actually define and work with things in your reality is extremely important. Like we just brought in two or three definitions here, like, karma. How do you view karma? What is your definition of karma? What's your definition of a return to sender? You know what I mean? Are you actually returning it to sender? Are the person who you believe or think sent it your way? Are you returning it to Gaia and then it gets transmuted as neutral or good energy and then you're returning it back knowing Gaia will give it back to where it belongs eventually, you know, or are you taking it into your own hands and your form of a return to sender is actually targeted and it actually has nothing to do with just doing a simple return to sender spell, but it's you getting after or getting at somebody or sending, whatever you concoct back their way. Like, are you adding to your return to sender or are you just sending it as it hit you? Because once you start adding to stuff, you're not really returning to sender. Like, you're adding some oomph on there. So it's like a lot of those things. And then, you know, what do you consider, you know what I mean, right and wrong? Like, what are your definitions for right and wrong? What are your morals? What is What is purposeful? What is universal versus what is not? Is there a good and bad? Is there an upper and a lower? Is there a higher and a lower frequency? You know what I mean? Like, can people really take your power? What is your personal power? Like, all these questions that seem really, really simple, all matter based on their definition. Because if someone defines something differently than you, then that's when you run into a lot of problems. And you'll see it the simplest of ways, like spells or magic can be defined a different way, but something even more normal like family or friends or loyalty, or there's things like that that you don't realize that you work with a different definition of family. Not everybody was brought up the same way you were. Not everybody was this. Not everybody believes in loyalty the same way. Some people want blind, stupid loyalty, and some people want free thinking loyalty where people choose to be by your side. There is a difference to everything, and it's just finding out what jives with you. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the little bit of an entry, like a little entry point into a little bit of devil's advocate, just basically getting you thinking not only about the words and the definitions you use, but your own belief systems, and not only right and wrong, but spirituality, some of the universal laws, whether you believe in them, whether you don't, how you believe other people can affect you or infect you with energy, and what you think is right, wrong, or what you can do about it. Because as simple as a back and forth this touched a lot of topics that if you choose to sit with it and really continue to ask yourself the questions that innately come up, and even feel some of the frustrations and even maybe some of the stupidity that you're like, these are stupid, like this isn't right. That's fine. But that's the point of it, is it gets you thinking, and you're either going to double down in what you know, or you're going to have aha moments that you're like, oh shit, maybe that's right. Maybe this isn't right. Maybe this. It just keeps you further establishing what you believe in and what works for you. And that's the goal, because it doesn't have to work for anybody else but you.
Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for listening in, tuning in. Thank you for joining us on the Spiritual Roundtable, where we just really get right down in it, no BS, and we just give you exactly what you need to hear. Not always what you want to hear, but definitely what you need to hear. Thank you for joining myself and Miss Keys of Wisdoms 369 for our talk today. And we hope you join us next week when we go over labels and limits, and just how your labels may be limiting you. And that's not what you want. And if you are not a member of the website, but you enjoy conversation like this and free knowledge and learning, we have a free tree of knowledge and you should check it out. Become a member. It's 100% free, and you'll find it on www.childofbalance.com. Remember, as you go through this journey, please remember you are to feel your way through everything. Do not stop, do not make yourself smaller, and always continue to be unapologetically and authentically you, because the world needs more of that.